In the beginning, we all drank a lot. I always used to have that one extra, that two extra. I didn't value myself. Unfortunately, I might not have been valued my loving wife.
Good evening and welcome to another inspiring episode of Visionaries Lounge. Tonight's guest is Paul Bruns. He is an accomplished humanitarian who has come full circle, actually, overcoming alcohol abuse to rehabilitating sentenced offenders who have been taught skills of horticulture. So you can imagine it's going to be an interesting one. Paul, it is such a pleasure to have you with us. Good evening and welcome.
Wonderful meeting you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Born in Cape Town,
yes.
Raised in Pretoria.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
I was really blessed. As you mentioned, I was born in Cape Town and born in Woolly Point, in fact, and then at the age of about 5 or 6, we moved to Camps Bay, which was really super. So up until the age of 12 or 13, I stayed in Camps Bay and went to school in Cape Town, yeah. And
then you moved inland.
Inland.
Did you miss the sea?
I did. I never wanted to. I thought I was in heaven because staying in Cape Town, I had the sea and the mountain, because we stayed quite close to Lion's Head, so in the winter we could climb the mountain and have the freedom of that and the beach down there. And I never wanted to leave, and I in fact had almost begged my parents to let me remain and go to a boarding school. But moving to Pretoria within a very short time, I actually started enjoying Pretoria for what it is, and I had some good friends and went to a good school, and yeah, so I had a very settled and loving upbringing. Yeah.
Any siblings?
I have a sister, yeah, sister younger than I, and she now stays in San Francisco.
Growing up as a teenager, young adult, I believe you were influenced by, is it Beat Generation?
Well, I don't know if I was more influenced than other people, but we lived with the freedom and in fact in the early 60s up until 65, also later on. In fact, we felt we had we needed to change the world, and we sat for hours and listened to Bob Dylan.
Thunder on the mountain and as far as on the moon. The ruckus in the alley and the sun will be here soon. Today's the day you're gonna grab my trombone and blow.
And drank coffee and wine and beer or whatever it is. And our heroes were in fact wastrels who were not after the money but after the essence of life, after banning the bomb and ending the war in Vietnam.
So hippies.
Without a doubt. Hippies. Yeah, well, that's
the flower power.
The flower power, without a doubt. I was in fact I never grew my hair too long.
I was about to ask if you had the ponytail.
No, I never had a ponytail. I was almost a bit too square for that, but yeah.
Let's go back to the Bob Dylan and the coffee and the wine.
Yeah, the wine, yes.
And let's talk a little bit about that and how you start developing this, say, abnormal relationship with alcohol that goes beyond the casual sip or two.
And I suppose in the beginning we all drank a lot and we all had fun together. But the difference with me and my friends and my compatriots, I always used to have that one extra, that two extra. And if somebody got into trouble, and I always used to blame it on my height or whatever it is, that I was the one who got into trouble. And in fact, it created a major problem in my life afterwards. And it's not that I drank every day and I was a fall-down drunk, but my life revolved around drink. I wouldn't go to places.
That is actually very dangerous, because being a functional alcoholic means that many people won't realize you've got a problem.
Absolutely, and that was it. But I knew, but I didn't know. I know that it doesn't make sense, but I often think that an alcoholic is a drunk with a conscience, because I used to wake up in the morning and say, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't even know what I did, but I shouldn't have done that, because that wasn't how I like to behave.
At what point did you reach rock bottom?
Well, that was an interesting string of events, I suppose. I got married fairly late in life, and probably at 33. And I had in fact stopped drinking for 6 months because I really loved my wife-to-be, and I knew that drinking caused problems in my life. I didn't realize I was an alcoholic, so I'd stopped drinking and I got married, and in fact on honeymoon I didn't actually drink at all and things like that. And then I slowly started drinking again, and then we had our first child and our second child, and then my drinking started really getting quite difficult. I had a reasonably good job, and we had a house and a home, so we were
a fairly comfortable life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But one evening I was driving home after having a lot of drinks, a hell of a lot of drinks, in fact, and I had a motor car accident. And as I had this motor car accident, I saw an image in the window, of the cracking window, of my two little children of 3 and probably 9 months. And I knew then I was going to lose them. And they were the only thing of value that I had in life. I didn't value myself. Unfortunately, I might not have even valued my loving wife that much, but those two little things. And I knew I was going to lose them. And I knew then that if I didn't stop drinking, that would be the end. And I started asking for help, and I got help. And then over the years, I probably started helping people to help me. And it's been a wonderful journey, and certainly, you know, a life-changing experience for me, because it gave me what I have today. Yes.
Well, congratulations.
No, thank you.
to you.
No, it's not too. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
When we come back, I want us to talk about what you did with that newfound sobriety, because you didn't just sit down and say, well, I'm no longer going to indulge in alcohol. You then plunged yourself into giving back and doing good. We'll elaborate on that in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Thank you.
Welcome back, and thank you ever so much for joining us. If you've just tuned in, you have missed out on quite a lot, I can imagine, but there's still more to come as we continue our conversation with Paul Bruns. Paul, you shared with us just before the break about your battle with alcoholism. Would you say that you're a recovering alcoholic? You know, there's talk that it's hereditary and that you're never completely over it, that every day is a struggle, but that you overcome with your mindset. Where would you position yourself?
I am a recovering alcoholic, and the last time I had a drink was the 27th of July, 1984. And I remember that day as a very specific day in my life. I wouldn't agree with you that every day is a battle, because now that I'm on the road to recovery, every day is a miracle. Every day is something special, because, and as the years pass as well, the horror of the past is less evident. However, the story that I related about the accident and my children's face in the mirror is always deeply imprinted in my mind, because the times come when I'm tempted to have a drink. And then I try and remember the last time that I had, and how desperate and how alone I felt in that car, knowing that I was going to lose everything, and now I've got so much.
Then you begin the next chapter of your journey. Talk to me about the work that you do with the sentenced offenders, where you teach them horticulture skills. How did that start? That
started almost by accident, but then it was God-given. I've always had a fascination with trees, and I've loved trees, and I had this feeling that particularly at that time there weren't enough trees in the townships, and I'm talking about the late 90s and the early 2000s. So I'd worked out this idea to grow trees in the prisons. And I went to the prison, and I thought I'd made an appointment, and I thought I'd go into...
Why prisons? You know,
well,
many people will think, they're locked up, throw away the key.
No, but I was just going to use the water and the land.
Yes.
But then when I got to the prison, I then saw these blokes sweeping the leaves. It was a cold autumn morning, and the leaves were falling, and they were sweeping the leaves. And that's where my life changed. Because suddenly I realized it wasn't about the trees. Of course the trees were beautiful, but how could I help those people? What could I do for them? And that's where the real journey came. And then I decided that if we teach them horticultural skills, if we teach them how to plant and how to see the little seed growing and something starting and flourishing. And that's really how it all started. Because the beauty about horticulture and about growing something, firstly, it's very visual. And I like instant gratification. I can't wait for you.
And it grows, blossoming.
Yeah. And it also teaches you patience, because you can't pull a flower to make it grow quicker. You've got to wait. You have to wait. And my two greatest supporters were my son and daughter. My son had just started university, and he was studying at Stellenbosch being a CA, and my daughter was still at school. They came to the prison and they helped me, and we would sit and work out things, how to do it. And also, in fairness, as we started the journey, we weren't quite sure where we were going. Yes. It was an idea. We started on a 3-month course. I didn't know that much about gardening or horticulture either. I loved nature. I was an observer rather than the physical doing, although I worked in the garden, mowed the lawn, and loved nature. So we weren't quite sure. But quite soon we realized that 3 months wasn't long enough, because what we then realized, we're not teaching them horticultural skills, we're growing people. This is the new leaf, a bit like Reggie. He was once like you in the orange uniform. He had no hope, but what did he do? He became a facilitator, and now he's going to pass on his wisdom to you.
Paul is a hero because he had that vision of growing people using plants, and I'm one of that plants that have grown out of his vision.
And in 3 months, you could see the growth, the lights going on the enthusiasm, and then they had to leave. And we said, no, let's keep them for a year, let's keep them for 9 months. And in that time, we could see the whole process going. And the prison said they won't last that long, because they don't want to be on a course for 9 months. We started the course, they never left. They wanted to come, they want to carry on. So that is what we did then, which is this most wonderful thing for us as well. We started employing ex-inmates to be facilitators. And that has given us an extra level. At this point in time, we have 10 or 9 ex-inmates employed, permanently employed, which I'm so proud of. They pay tax, they pay UIF, they've got their own banking accounts, and they are accredited as facilitators and assessors and moderators. But more importantly, they believe in what they do, and they then have this newfound knowledge and confidence and to impart to their students.
I love it. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the other work that you do. Tell me about Hlumelelisa and what you do there.
Hlumelelisa means a new spirit. And we need something new, something to awaken the good in us. We work together to try and develop that and grow people through it. And that's my life. So that's my life. So I'm the founder. I'm supported by a wonderful board. I've got my son and daughter who are work very closely with me and develop it. So, but more importantly, I suppose, I don't even know what I do, because I'm a coordinator or what, other than the business things. I mean, you need to run a business and things like that. But other than that, I listen, I learn. And sometimes I might say something which might make a difference. Sometimes it doesn't. And I suppose more importantly, I listen.
Paul, I absolutely love what you've had to say. And I think I'm going to borrow from a horticulture analogy and say I just love the way in which your organization has evolved. It's very organic. I also appreciate the fact that it seems to, be natural in the way that it's doing things. Bottom up instead of top down, like a little seedling that grows. But I want to now focus on you as an individual. And I know you shy away from me, but we want to know from you what the next chapter has in store and what you would still like to achieve on a personal level. So do stay with us for that and more in just a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Visionaries Lounge on SABC2. Our guest tonight is Paul Bruns. He is an award-winning philanthropist, might I add. I don't think I've mentioned that you're award-winning. I should punt it right there in the beginning. I'll just stick it in there. How does it feel that you won the 2014 Inyathelo Awards? Must have been quite a feat.
Our next award tonight is the 2014 Inyathelo Award for Philanthropy in Rehabilitation and Job Creation. And it is my privilege to announce this year's winner, Mr. Paul Bruns.
It was really a team effort, I think, and I suppose it made us all feel good. It made us all feel good. And it was really a fancy evening, with probably 500 guests, and so it made us feel very special and deservedly so. I represent Hlumelelisa, and I represent those men and women, boys and girls that helped make their dream into reality. We represented the dregs of society. We represented those men and women who, in fact, have done wrong. And
often outcast,
and
ostracized for that.
Absolutely, and we haven't given up hope on them, and a lot of other people, by winning their award, we also saw that other people hadn't given up on hope on them either. So it really felt really very good. Thank you.
Great. It was a pat on the back, which I think is important. Philanthropy is such a thankless job sometimes. So every now and again, when you get a thumbs up, I think it's much appreciated.
And more importantly, I suppose my daughter was also there. In the audience
throughout the conversation. You've mentioned your daughter, you've mentioned your son. Walt is with us this evening and saying that they've played quite an important role in your success.
Absolutely.
Walt, you must be proud of Dad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's definitely been an interesting journey. I think the two of us always argue with each other because he's more the creative, out there thinker, whereas I'm the objective.
You try and rein him in. Come back, Dad.
So whenever he's on one of his creative escapades, I'm unfortunately feel like the wet blanket who has to bring it down to ground.
How are we going to practically implement this?
Yeah, exactly. So I think but it's been an amazing journey. I think for all of us. I mean, I think for me it's been interesting. I'm a CA by background and working in a big corporate environment, and to have work with him on Hlumelelisa and see just that different side. You've got the social conscience and, you've got the corporate side of life, and to try and find a balance between the two where you can. So I've learned a lot through it, and obviously I think as a family we've enjoyed the journey and the results. It hasn't always been easy.
Paul, what keeps you going in those dark hours, like you said, middle of the night, perhaps, I think for every 10 that you get right, perhaps there's an 11th one who fits the stereotypes and perhaps drops out of the course or disappoints you for one reason or another. As a sponsor maybe pulls out at the last minute and thinks, I'm going to give the money to a youth organization as opposed to offenders. During those turbulent times, what keeps you going?
Well, two things, I suppose. The first thing is my faith. And as I've often spoken to Walt, there have been times where I have to go on my knees and pray and ask for guidance. And the irritating thing, what happens is that as you think it's going to fold, a guardian angel comes and gives you something, so you've got to carry on, which is the wonder of it. And then the second thing, without a question of a doubt, is the students. It is the students, because the life-changing experiences that I'm privileged to be involved with, and it's my own life-changing experiences, because my wants and needs are from that lost young man of 40 or 30 or 20, you know, and it's not the centers, it's the people that I get to meet, the people that I get to meet, and with that, so I always know how lucky I am to be where I am, and it's a validation or the value that I have on my own life.
Walt, Dad is starting to sound like a bit of a saint now. Like he's all perfect, and I know he's the first one to say, hey, I'm not perfect.
How much time do we have?
But he's not gonna. Yeah, I want you to dish the dirt. I want to know what he gets up to that to perhaps is thinking. You think, oh, Dad, not again. You know, the human side of him, because I'm loving the philanthropist. I'm loving the humanitarian, but I also know that we're all flawed human beings, and he's the first one to admit it. So what are those things that are quirky and maybe annoying about that? Does he keep time, or does he take like long showers?
He's wearing. Maybe you can show
the
so he enjoys his cycling, which is becoming a bit of a bone of contention for us, because he broke his wrist doing the 94.7, which I think was in November of last year, but it's only realized that he actually broke it, a month ago. So for 3 months he's been complaining about a sore wrist, and I said, go to the doctor and please just go and get it checked out.
And he said, I will.
I will. Eventually he went for something else and asked the doctor, by the way, I can't open the tomato sauce bottle anymore, and he realized he'd actually fractured his wrist. So
Dad.
no, I think he's definitely got his quirky components and stuff, but I think in general, I think I don't have to worry too much about him, although there are times that whenever I hear he's doing a 100-kilometer bike race in 40-degree heat, that I think there must be somebody watching over this old man trudging along.
I love the banter between the two of you. I love the relationship, and I think that another thing you have in common is that you're both exceptionally tall. I'm so glad that we're sitting down at the moment, otherwise you'd put me to shame and I'd feel terrible about myself. But it seems like such a good father-son relationship, which is very rare in this country of ours, where we often struggle with fatherlessness. I want to know what legacy you want to leave behind, not only for Walt, but for your grandchildren and the generation to come after that.
I'm not a great one for legacies, but what I will say, and I actually feel quite strongly about it, that we live in a country, and we often say, of miracles, And what I will add to that is that I do believe in miracles. And then I ask you, do you believe in miracles? Because that's such a, we must, believe in miracles.
Gentlemen, it's been such a pleasure to have you with us this evening.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much, and all the best to you in your future endeavors. And thank you, of course, for having joined us in this conversation. Let's do it again next week. Good night. God bless.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Life has its ups and its downs, and it can be so interesting. And you know, when you get to my age and you reflect back on what happened, and it is a challenge. And I suppose for me, what I needed to do was to listen and to be able to understand and to accept things, but where I could try and change. And how do you change? You change by doing things with other people and learning from them, and also believe in miracles. I believe in miracles because no matter what happens, the miracles do happen, and I suppose that is trust yourself and believe in miracles. Thank you and good night.